If you skip to the end of this video, please drop a like and maybe comment something like I skipped to the end. It would definitely help me out a lot because it does hurt my watch time when y'all skip, man. So I appreciate it. I was looking at my old matchup tier list I made regarding Morty, and honestly, I just feel like it's completely wrong. So let's make a completely new Morty matchup tier list. Starting off with Arya Stark, I believe this to be by far the worst matchup in the game for Morty. Let me explain. Morty, in a lot of ways, or at least the way that I play him, heavily depends on his neutral game. You need to get combos off of his stun gun and his mud wall. Arya Stark negates both of these moves thanks to one move alone, that being her down tilt. She not only dodges when she uses this move, but she also attacks, and it only costs about half a dodge meter, which means she can pretty much just spam it as many times as she wants. Besides that, the only way that you're really going to approach Arya is going to be your forward air, which requires you to be a certain distance from the ground in order to hit it. You have to be very close to the ground. Arya can just roll. Once again, she can just down tilt behind you and hit you. Your only other options for approaching are the grenades, which have a very small hitbox, so she's going to be able to down tilt out of that. Your up air, you can't use it unless you're very close to the ground. She can just roll around it. Arya can pretty much just win this matchup using down tilt and forward dash attack alone. That's literally it. This is by far Morty's worst matchup in my opinion. Batman, and I hate to do this, man, because I lose the majority of the time that I play a good Batman, but I honestly think that Batman is a winning matchup for Morty for a few reasons. First of all, his battering, you can just destroy it with the mud wall, which is kind of insane. Obviously, the battering is very fast, but if you know that it's coming, you can just mud wall, you're going to destroy it. It's going to be on cooldown for a very long time. The smoke bomb obviously negates projectiles. If you throw a grenade in there and try to explode it, it's not going to explode. However, you are able to mud wall inside of his smoke bomb. You're probably not going to hit it, but it is an option. If Batman is grappling towards you and you react because he is a certain distance away, you are going to be able to mud wall as he is heading towards you. It's unlike Arya because you can actually react to that teleport move. Arya will just stick right to you. Batman, you can see that he's heading towards you and you can mud wall to stop that. So yeah, I think that Morty actually does win this matchup by a little bit. Bugs Bunny is 100% a winning matchup for Morty. I'm not going to put him in Let's Go just because he does just have some ridiculous moves in general, such as his forward air, which is going to win against your forward air, such as his up air, which is obviously ridiculous. I don't even have to talk about that. The neutral air is obviously a very good move. Morty is kind of short though, so it is a little harder to catch Morty with that move than other characters. But the reason I think that he is winning this matchup is because of moves like the rocket. The rocket is able to be broken with the mud wall, with grenades, with the stun gun, I believe. If he places the safe and he tries to head to it, you are able to mud wall it to stop him from hitting the safe at you. And then if he does hit the safe at you, you are going to be able to duck it because Morty's duck is just so low. It's the same with the rocket. Finn, I believe to be a completely even matchup for Morty. Finn definitely has a tough time dealing with projectiles. Yes, he has his side special on the ground, and yes, he has his armored buns, which by the way, the armored buns are so overglazed, man. I mean, it takes so many coins to actually get the power up, and even so, Finn needs his coins for his kill confirms. Without the coins, the only kill moves that he has are really just neutral attack and up tilt, both of which kill at very high percentages. He relies on his coins heavily to get eliminations, and thus, if he wants to buy armored buns, it is going to put him at a big disadvantage. So he's not going to be able to rely on that power up at all. So as I was saying, Finn does not have an easy time dealing with projectiles, but Morty needs neutral control. Morty needs neutral control to get a lot of his combos rolling, and Finn obviously has extremely good neutral control. You are going to be able to overwhelm Finn with projectiles, but he is going to be able to overwhelm you with his neutral control and potentially get 0 to death combos on you. Thus, I think that this matchup is completely even. I'm going to try to go a little bit faster here. I'm not going to completely dissect every character just to save you guys some time, unless there's actually something important I want to talk about. Garnet, I think, is a winning matchup for Morty. Garnet is honestly a very underrated character. I think that she has a lot of tools to potentially beat Morty, and I don't think that this is an unwinnable matchup for Garnet. However, you can't neglect the fact that she is just so big combo meat, and Morty is good at comboing people. Harley Quinn is one I will talk about. I think that this is a slight disadvantage for Morty, and a lot of people are not going to disagree with that. And no, I am not just saying that because I got destroyed by a Harley Quinn in my recent tournament run. As a matter of fact, they weren't even doing the things that I thought was ridiculous in this matchup. The number one thing that gets me in this matchup is that if you want to stop Harley's sliding move, the only way you are going to be able to do it is mud wall. And if you are an above average Morty, I expect you to not be doing the mud wall too much, man. I consider myself a kind of heavy mud wall spammer, and I promise you I'm not even close to the level in which some of these Mortys are spamming mud wall. That being said, Harley is going to catch you with the down tilts over and over if you're not a consistent mud wall spammer. You have to already have the mud wall out before the Harley even thinks about doing down tilt in order to stop it. If you try to stun gun the move, it is not going to do anything. She's going to slide right under the stun gun. If you try to grenade the move, she's probably just going to, yeah, she's gonna hit you. She's gonna hit you while the grenade is going, and then you are going to get comboed. The sliding move just makes this such a bad matchup for Morty. And then you have moves like the forward air, which come out faster and hit further than your forward air, which is really Morty's only three good moves is the stun gun, grenade, and forward air, and then the mud wall. But she can just punish the mud wall. So, I mean, I think that this is a losing matchup for Morty. And let's take into account that after the Morty nerf, he is a lot slower than Harley, a lot slower. Next up, Jake the dog. I think that Jake the dog actually wins this matchup a little bit based off of his size. I think that it makes it harder for Morty to operate with a character of this stature. However, Morty is just such a better character than Jake. Jake is like a mid tier. Morty is like a high A tier, that it kind of evens out and makes this an even matchup. On paper though, I would almost give this one to Jake the dog if he was just a little bit of a better character. However, I think that this is a completely even matchup. Rain Dog, Morty wins this for one reason. A lot of characters, as a matter of fact, I'll put this in Let's Go, man. I think this is a great matchup. Some characters, projectile spammers that is, just overpower other projectiles. And Morty is just one of those characters who overpowers all of Rain Dog's projectiles. I think that his stun gun goes over Rain Dog's like best projectile, which is his neutral attack, which is just ridiculous. So if he shoots out his projectile that is a lot slower than the stun gun, Morty is going to win that, and he is going to get a full combo off of it. And yeah, that just applies to a lot of projectile spammers in this game. Certain ones just overpower other ones, such as Morty overpowering Bugs Bunny. I've been playing a lot of good Shaggy players lately, and every single time I play a match against this character, my opinion changes. If Shaggy plays super aggressively, you are going to get destroyed. If he tries to play passively like a normal Shaggy, he is going to get destroyed. That being said, I think that this is a completely even matchup. Maybe on paper, Morty actually wins this one, but Shaggy is just such a good character that it makes it even. I mean, Shaggy is what, a top 5 character? He's absolutely insane, thus making this an even matchup in my opinion. Steven, absolute nightmare matchup for Morty for a few reasons. First of all, the only way to get rid of his watermelon is to do mud wall into up air, and just like when you get an actual opponent into a high enough percentage, you are no longer going to be able to get that kill confirm. So besides that, how are you going to get rid of the watermelon Steven? You can throw a grenade at it, wasting a grenade, or you can do mud wall up air, which takes way too much time and you are probably going to get punished. You cannot break the melon while it's in the shell unless you just you literally can't break it. 2 forward airs will not break it. I don't even think a grenade breaks it. It's an absolute nightmare having this guy run around, and then you have to deal with Steven's shields, which you cannot punish without using mud wall. If you try to stun gun Steven, he is going to use his shields. If you try to throw a grenade, he is going to do his forward air. He pretty much is just Morty nightmare fuel. He has a tool to deal with every single tool in Morty's kit, man. It's an absolute nightmare matchup, horrible matchup. I think that Morty is at a slight disadvantage against Superman for a few reasons, actually. First of all, we have his armored moves. Morty struggles to break armor. Yes, he has his Plumbus. It's an extremely slow move that you have to charge up with not a lot of range. Superman has his Frost Breath, which is going to freeze your grenades. And if Superman is a certain height above you, you are not going to be able to punish him for doing this with a dash attack. So really, he is just going to disable what makes Morty so good, which is his grenades. I don't think that this is a unwinnable matchup. Once again, I just think that is a slight disadvantage. Now, as of right now, and I might be completely wrong on this one, you guys were telling me to equip the Plumbus perk and just use the Plumbus to one-hit the Jerry. I don't know if that's true. I need to give it more time. I need to try to do that. As of right now, I would put Tom and Jerry in a slight disadvantage or a jump off 3 times, but I need to see what you guys are talking about with that Plumbus perk, because this might be a completely winning matchup for Morty and I have no idea. So honestly, I probably am just best off adding a new row and making it I don't know right now. Wonder Woman is honestly, I believe, to be a winning matchup for Morty, but she's just so strong and so easy to play that I would put her at even, man. I mean, Morty has a hard time dealing with some of her moves, such as her lasso of truth, such as her forward air, but he can deal with her armor because it takes about the same amount of time to whip out her armor as it does for Morty to charge up the Plumbus. However, she can then just jump and do a down air. So I don't know. I think all in all, this ends up being even, although on paper, Morty probably does win this one. Velma, I do not play enough Velmas to tell you post Velma buff. I have not seen a single Velma in ladder, so I don't know as of yet. I think that Morty wins the matchup against Taz for a few reasons. A lot of characters do not have a tool to deal with his hurricane, that being his side special and his up special. Morty, however, can throw a grenade, and if it makes contact with Taz's moves, he can then just explode the grenade, because Taz does actually have an extremely small hitbox while he is in these forms. For those reasons, I believe that Morty wins this matchup. Taz is going to try to camp the ground with the sandwich move. You are going to get a full combo off of that. I mean, yeah, Morty is just equipped with things to deal with this guy. Iron Giant is an absolutely amazing matchup for Morty once you find out what you're doing, because Iron Giant has a very interesting perk that allows him to get a projectile shield after half a second of walking on the ground. That combined with his up special makes this just a hard matchup to deal with. But if you understand what you're doing, and if you understand that when this up special is going to come out, or when Iron Giant is going to want to do this up special, that you have to use a mud wall, you are going to punish Iron Giant a lot. If you understand that when Iron Giant does the down special in the air, if you throw a grenade and shoot it upwards with your up air, you are going to be able to detonate that grenade and potentially kill Iron Giant at about 70 health. You are going to once again do good in this matchup. This is an extremely good matchup for Morty. Same thing with LeBron James. The fact that Morty can break LeBron James balls with his mud wall is just insane, because LeBron's main tool is obviously his balls. He is going to pause. LeBron's main tool is obviously his basketballs. He is going to spawn a bunch of projectiles, and Morty can just send them right away with the mud wall, man. He just eviscerates them. I'm sure it's the exact same thing with Gizmo when he plays against LeBron. He just has a better projectile. Once again, just like the rain dog situation, Morty just overpowers LeBron's projectiles. Rick, I believe to be a slight disadvantage for Morty, because Rick, I would almost put it here, but I'm not going to. Rick has so many projectiles that cancel out Morty's projectiles. Same thing with LeBron, same thing with Rain Dog. Once again, Rick's fully charged stun gun just eat up your stun gun. They eat up your grenades. The Meeseeks with the golf club makes it so that you can't throw a grenade. And when I played Ruthless the Rick, what he did was spawn a down special and then spawn a Meeseeks and set the Meeseeks to golf club, and you are not able to stop Rick from using his down special and getting big. So all in all, if Rick is spamming projectiles and you're spamming projectiles, Rick is going to win that. If Rick is wanting to get up close and you are going to want to get up close, Rick is also going to win that because of his forward tilt, because of his up special, because of his portals, things of that nature. I think that this is a slight disadvantage for Morty. Gizmo is a heavy disadvantage for Morty for mainly one reason, and that is the arrows. I believe the arrows, and I've been saying this a lot in my videos lately, the arrows are literally a shootable mud wall, man. All you have to do is just shoot the arrows and they negate every single projectile, and that is no different for Morty, man. They eat up his stun gun, they eat up his grenades, and they are way too fast, and he has way too many to do anything about it, to the point where if y'all, Gizmo can just sit back and spam arrows, and there's not really much you can do about it. You can try to mud wall, you're just gonna get arrowed, you're gonna get card, you're gonna get comboed. There's not much you can do here as a Morty main except for just try to chase Gizmo down, in which you can just run around because you don't have the best approach kit. All you have is forward air. Stripe is probably an even matchup. I would almost put this in winning for Morty just because I believe Stripe to be bad. However, at the end of the day, this is probably an even one right here. I mean, if he does a skateboard, you have to mud wall. If you do a mud wall, he has to do something besides the skateboard. Y'all just have to think about what you can use to counter each other. You got a lot of counters for each other. Fair matchup in my opinion. Black Adam, I originally thought this to be a completely losing matchup for Morty, but I'm changing my mind now that I understand more about this character. character, and honestly, I'm going to put this in an even matchup for one reason, and that is when Black Adam spawns the projectile shield, all you have to do is get inside of it and then shoot your stun gun and shoot your grenades, and they will go outside the projectile shield. They will not disappear. So it's really not that big of a deal if he spawns the projectile shield, and if he tries to camp in it, all you have to do, approach with some forward airs, approach with some mud wall, get inside of the shield yourself, and then you can just do your typical, combos, projectile spam, things of that nature. Marvin, this is a slight disadvantage for Morty because his projectiles win against Morty's projectiles a lot of the time, but then Morty can mud wall the bubble move, which definitely helps, but Morty just has a rough time dealing with heavy projectile spammers, especially ones that just do a little better than Morty. Joker, this is a slight disadvantage for Morty as well because of the card move. The card move beats out all of Morty's projectiles. When it comes to melee, Joker just wins. Joker can jump a lot. He can catch you in a forward tilt, do a lot of damage. And characters that are good at jumping and good at making things happen in the air are going to give Morty a rough time just because his mud wall is not going to connect. And the fact that he has a projectile to deal with the other options besides the mud wall makes this a good matchup for him. Banana Guard is definitely a winning matchup for Morty. He relies heavily on melee. Morty has tools to deal with melee. The only thing that Banana Guard has to really deal with Morty is his side special on the ground. The fact that it kind of pushes grenades away and makes it so that you can't grenade him is kind of crazy, man. It kind of just gives him instant neutral control in this matchup, but you can still mud wall him, you can still stun gun him, and you can still obviously whiff punish that move as it takes a long time to cool off of. Jason, probably a let's go matchup for Morty, just absolutely disgusting. Same as Iron Giant. Jason relies heavily on melee. Morty, projectile spammer, big fat old dude. You're just gonna combo the bricks off of Jason. It's a good time, man. Agent Smith, honestly, I think that Agent Smith is going to turn out to be all the way down here. I think this is going to turn out to be a horrible matchup for Morty thanks to his side special, killing at like 70 health and negating your projectiles, and the fact that this guy can just combo you very fast and do a lot of damage to you. I think that this might turn out to be an extremely big problem for Morty down the line, but as of right now, I believe it to be a slight disadvantage. Here's my tier list. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. See y'all later.